G'day again guys, and welcome to this tutorial for Google SketchUp for schools. In this particular video, I'm going to run you through creating a keychain item that you can put some writing on, chuck a hole through so that you can pop it onto a keychain. Something that you can maybe 3D print and have as a bit of a souvenir. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to start with some shapes. Just some basic shapes. I'm going to start with a couple and I'm going to show you how to pop them together into one so that it's a little bit easier to maneuver around. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a rectangle shape. Now keychains are really small, so I'm going to just start this really small. And I'm going to make this part of my keychain about 6 or 7 centimeters. Okay, I don't want it too much bigger than that. In fact, I probably want it a bit smaller, so I'm going to go with 5 centimeters, which is only 50 mil. I'm going to make this one a square. And you can see there that it's really hard to see, so I'm going to have to zoom all the way in. And if you keep your cursor pointed at where you want it to zoom, it'll make it a little bit easier. Okay, so I've panned around. I'm going to scroll around as well. Alright, so this is going to be the main part of my keychain. This is where I'm going to chuck some writing. But what I want to do is I want to add a little bit on the end that I can chuck the hole in to be the holder for the actual keychain part. So I want another rectangle, but I'm just going to draw it up over here. And this one I only want to be about 1.5 to 2 centimeters. So I'm going to make this 15 by 20. And it's off to the side. It's not connected at all at the moment. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to connect it midpoint to midpoint. Now what you need to do is you need to select this whole square. So I'm going to go and choose my cursor and I'm going to highlight the whole shape. My next task is to find the move tool, and I click on that. I'm going to find the midpoint of that edge. So I found the midpoint of the edge, I click on it, and you can see it's dragging the whole shape as I'm pulling that move tool around. And then I'm going to find the midpoint over here, click again, and now it's going to be attached. So you can see there it's attached with just that little light line there that I can now send away. Alright, now I want this keychain to be about 1 centimeter or so thick. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to increase it by 1.5 centimeters. That'll give me a little bit of room to work with. So I'm going to pull that up. Actually, I just pull it up the 1 centimeter because when I'm going to put the offset in, I'm going to bring that up 0.5 centimeter. So I'm going to bring this up 10 mil. And there's the main part of my keychain. Now, we don't want keychains that have really sharp edges. We want to have some rounding in these edges. And so now I want to put my arcs in. They don't have to be perfect. Just around all those outside corners. Some of them are a bit bigger than others. That's okay though, because what we're going to do is we're going to use the push-pull tool. The push-pull tool to push this down. Now you can see that it does this, but if I come over here and click on the edge, it takes it away. And this will make sure that you have a fully formed full thickness shape every time. And this is what we're also going to do when we put the hole in. And there we have a bit of a shape happening. I want to put my hole in now. So I'm going to find the midpoint and the midpoint. Oh, it might not be the midpoint there. Let's try that again. That'll work. Circle, because you want a circular hole. And come out pretty close to the edge, but you don't want to be totally close there. You don't want it to break. Alright. Now we can get rid of those lines. And we want to make this a hole. So I'm going to use my push-pull tool. And just like before when I did these corners, I push in, I want it to be at an end point, at an edge of the circle of the shape. So now I've got the hole going right through. What happens if you don't quite get that right is you end up pushing it or pulling it and it just pokes out rather than creating a hole. So you want to come over to an edge, click on the edge, because that tells Sketchup that you want to make a hole for it. Alright, next thing I want to do is I want to create an inset. Doesn't have to be real big, probably not on that face though. I'm just going to bring it in about 2 mil. You don't need it to be too big. And now I'm going to bring that inset up another 3 mil. And you can see I've got a bit of an inset happening. Alright. My keychain is starting to come together. Now you don't want that hole to be too far away from the edge or too close, because if it's too close it'll break. If it's too far away you won't be able to get it through a keychain. My last little bit is I'm going to put in some text. Now text is a really difficult and tricky beast. You need to be very careful with how you format the text, and it may actually, in fact, take some trial and error. So there's our text editor. I am going to put in a name. There we go. Alright, going to have a few different things in this one, and let's have a look and see what happens. Well, that text is going to be way too big. So let's have another go. So like I said, this is going to be a little bit of trial and error. So it looks like it's going to be 30 millimeters in height. I certainly don't want it to be that high. I've only got a 5 centimeter space. So I am going to make this, whoops, a 30 millimeter height. And I don't need it to go up 15 centimeters either. So let's just push it up. Let's go up 2 mil. Oh, haven't even got any writing there now. Let's try this again. Like I said, it does take a little bit of trial and error. You may need to do this a couple of times to get it right, but that's okay. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit big as well. Only one of my letters is going to fit there, so obviously I am not going to be able to write Miss Young's keys. So let's try one more go around. Make them a bit smaller maybe. Let's just make them 3 mil in height, and then maybe I can fit the whole thing. Yeah, oh, maybe I can make them a bit bigger. So as I said, we can do some work with it. You can scale it however you need to. There we go. There is my keyring. Pokes up a little bit over the top. That's easily fixed though by pushing this back down. And having just a bit of a play. The main thing is, have a play around with the tools, have a play around with its features. You can see there a little bit of trial and error can get you to where you want to be, and just playing around with those tools. So I was able to resize using the scale tool. I was able to resize just by rewriting the words. And now this would be a perfect object to 3D print. And to do that, easiest way, obviously you need to make sure you've saved the item. So once it's saved, you go up to the 3 lines and you come down here to where it says download, not export. Don't do it for export. Go to download, and we want an STL file. Alright, and it comes down here at the bottom, and it will be your STL file that you can send to a 3D printer. That's this tutorial. Hopefully you are able to create a really cool keychain, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.